Welcome to the MS&Me Radio Network. The broadcast shows are for informational and entertainment purposes only. They are not designed to provide listeners with specific personal, medical, or counseling advice. Individuals with a medical issue should always consult their healthcare provider. MS&Me is not responsible for content of individual shows. The views expressed by show hosts or their guests are their own. Enjoy the show.
Hi, welcome back to Living with MS, Truth Be Told. I'm your host, Marie Herron. It's very nice to have you all back. Really enjoying the tweets that I'm getting. I love the fact that I'm able to answer some of your questions. Today we have on the line Anne Green from Bliss Yoga in Barrie, Ontario. Hi, Anne. How are you?
Hi, Marie. Very well, thank you. It's great to talk with you today and to hear you.
Oh, perfect. And as you know, when I started Truth Be Told, and I think we talked about this a little bit, that one of the things I wanted to do for young people was post-diagnosis, was to start a living with MS lifestyle of, healthy eating and exercise and other modifying therapies, which I like to call them. One of the things that I always found was helpful for me was doing yoga. I believe that yoga does help to modify the course of MS. I think it helps with balance. What do you think? You think I'm right?
I think you're very correct. I think there is so much that yoga can offer for those people with immune deficiency, most particular multiple sclerosis. I believe that there's a sense of managing fatigue through the use of yoga. Mm-hmm. There's definitely a calming effect. It's very restorative to a body and supporting and supplying the nervous system with a chance to learn to relax and then become very commonly known to your body that that's a state you'd like to be in, out of that frenetic pace into a place of relaxation. I think the gentle movement is almost the motion for the lotion,
right?
And help to release some issues that are happening in your tissues and get you to understand that there are things happening and that you can have techniques to help you support yourself through them. It's obviously a stress reliever, and it also, what I think is very important that might be overlooked, it provides clarity, it provides focus, it provides a perspective. And that, I think, is probably one of the most awesome aspects of utilizing yoga for your life in any case scenario, but most especially if you're a person who's going through autoimmune deficiencies such as multiple sclerosis.
So you feel it helps to improve the immune system? Is that because the stress attacks the immune system?
I absolutely would say that that's a big statement to say. I agree that yoga helps to support the nervous system and teaches you ways to support your nervous system. Absolutely.
Okay. All right. So for anybody out there that's listening to us, of course, MS really affects people's balance. And, when I see a yoga class, there's a lot of, standing up and balancing. What would you suggest for someone who has MS sort of progressed, been living with it for quite a few years, and they're starting to see that it's affecting their balance? Do you have any suggestions for other than standing yoga?
Oh, absolutely. I think that standing yoga is a really great place to check in and see how your balance and coordination is doing. But as you improve yourself through body strength and also the sense of decreasing stress, because even just trying to balance is a very stressful event for people that are going through possibly a more time sense of fatigue because of MS. That sense of decreasing stress with yoga. So you don't have to do yoga from standing. So you can do yoga from floor work. You can do yoga from a chair. You can do yoga from a chair and a wall. And then you have these amazing means near you that you can start to test out. Okay, so I was on the chair and I have the wall behind me. What if I move away from the wall and just use the chair that's in front of me? And then what if I take, just one hand to support my balance? with either the wall or the chair, to eventually you might even try taking your hand off the wall and your body away from the chair as well. So there's a lot of things to create a sense of adaptation for where you are in your fatigue management. And all of this is, again, a huge facilitator of the improvement of your focus and your clarity. What I must say, very importantly, is people think yoga is a physical component. And it absolutely is. That I'm not going to argue. But that's only one part of it.
Right.
One of the biggest parts of yoga is learning how to improve your focus and your clarity, your coordination, your balance, even through your breath. So when people are feeling that their balance is really off, you're the wisest container of your own wisdom. You're going to know what's going to work and what's not going to.
No, thanks for sharing that, because it's really important. I want people to understand. I know you didn't tell me this story, but I was speaking with another yoga practitioner who does work with people with MS, who actually got somebody from, walking with crutches to, being able to walk on their own through yoga. And I think it's so important that people understand that, when you're looking at yoga videos and you're seeing these Litham Gumby-like creatures, like my friend Roberta, who can, put one foot in her hand and put it over her head. This isn't what we're striving for. What we're striving for, I think you're saying, Anne, is, slow and steady wins the race, but easy does it. Keep it simple and just start with small steps and work your way up. Is that, yeah?
Absolutely, Marie. I completely agree with you. I think what people really need to invest in is that it is an investment in their health through breath, first of all, awareness, and building blocks upon these things that create a sense of confidence and availability to do a little more maybe, and also the knowledge to know when to back off. That's so important, and that's what ego helps us do. It liberates us.
Right. It
gives us freedom in our choice and reminds us that, we are absolutely wonderful all the ways that we are made, and that to be our very best self in the day that we do and have been graced with, that's the most important thing. And sometimes that means just sitting and breathing, which is the number one component of yoga. All the physical asana of yoga just get us ready to be prepared to meditate and to sit.
I know when I was speaking with you at one point, I was telling you that when I practiced yoga, and one of the reasons I don't anymore, to be honest, is because I fell and I tore my rotator cuff.
Oh my goodness!
I know, but it's getting better. Don't worry. But one of the things I was doing was, and I went on YouTube, and I started watching a seated yoga regime. And I was doing it for about 3-4 months. And I actually found that my legs were getting longer. So, I mean, obviously it helps. But do you think I'm making that up, or is that possible?
No, I don't think you're making that up. I think you're starting to understand the alchemy of your own being within its ability to shape change. So, you're creating a little bit more space within all the connective tissue of that which is connected to your bone, which is the most important component. The concept of not to get very anatomical here, but what's happening in the sheath around your muscle is what's so important in multiple sclerosis. So if you're affecting the connections of that muscle to the tendons and the ligaments around the joints,
yes,
and gently start to allow these joints to know new movement and new space and new luxuriating in these elixirs of your own fluids in your body, giving them a good bath of support and giving them good nutrients and giving them good things to find new space. That's going to teach your body a new way of holding itself.
Right.
So we change and affect the muscles in yoga, which is so important with multiple sclerosis. We don't actually want to affect the shape and the structure of the bone. It's going to assemble when the muscles are more relaxed. It's going to assemble in a new pattern and maybe some new spaciousness because of how the connective tissues have been engaged and enriched through greater circulation and oxygen. So it just helps everything. It's a great big workout for your organs, which is so important in multiple sclerosis too.
Now, one of the things I'm going to say is that, not everybody can afford to go to yoga classes. is there any websites that you would suggest that people can go to maybe download some, yoga, yoga poses for people with MS?
There is a plethora of actually amazing places out there and spaces, and I do work very much with therapeutic yoga all the time, so that's one of my specialties. So I'm really lucky to be able to have that concept of seeing the change, quite like you've talked to before, people no longer walking with crutches, people moving away from canes, people having a longer, more productive day. And so, of course, people are invited to my own YouTube channel. There are things on there that will help, and that's Anne Green Yoga on YouTube. But I think there's even greater places to go to, going through the Yoga Journal, going through Yoga International, and those are two of the strongest, most validated places that will use scientific research and study to help people make sure that they're doing things safely. So those would be my two best options for individuals. And of course, like I said, I'd love to be able to share what people can do and what's available through my YouTube channel as well.
That's wonderful, Anne. Thank you so much for letting us know that. Okay, so I'm going to ask you this, because when I get my tweets and I get questions and I'm looking at some of the forums, depression is one of the leading symptoms I hear so much about. I'm so depressed. Yoga and depression. Tell me about that.
Oh, it's just meditate before you medicate.
Okay.
Change behavior before you change a different kind of behavior. So if it's, and I'm not saying that it isn't necessary to have medication. Not at all.
No,
but it is very necessary at times. But that we can do the very best opportunity that we have within our own means, first of all, to actually change how we neurologically respond to things. And that's what yoga does. It actually changes the way you see things. It actually opens you up to a new perspective through gentle breathing, gentle movement, allowing the body to release some of those deep-seated holdings that have come to us through failure, through hurt, through anger. It helps us to realize that emotions transmute through us, just like seasons change, and that we're not actually that emotion, and that we can work with our body rather than letting it work against us.
Okay.
We can go with what is, and that's a major part of depression. Depression is really about missing what is no longer.
Okay. Fatigue we talked about. Balance, definitely you feel that yoga, step by step, will help with the balance?
Yeah, absolutely. And I even have a few concepts of ideas that people can do. You can sit on a chair and do side arm raises and long arm raises and then alternate arm raises. You can change that to standing behind the chair and trying the same thing, but moving the one hand from the chair to create balance. Then you can lean against the wall and do that till maybe gently you're moving in between the wall and the chair and standing on your own to actually standing on your own and doing some of those same movements. Seated chair forward folds, the sense of moving to the side of the chair, lifting your arm or both arms up and doing what looks like a warrior one or a warrior two. And I know that a lot of the listeners won't know what that is, but it looks like you're doing a lunge, or one foot is forward, one foot is behind you. Just a sense of making sure your body is doing all that can, laying on your belly, putting your arms up, coming into hands and knees, which is like a quadruped position, and gently moving one leg back and then the other, and then moving one hand off and then the other. And instead of doing that facing the ground, you could lie on your side and do the same action, but have the earth holding you. So there's lots of things for balance that is just so vital that can be done to help a balancing challenge.
Last question I wanted to ask you. The other thing that I hear a lot from people are asking me, is there anything that yoga can do for muscle cramping? Because a lot of people with MS will find that their legs are restless and at night their feet cramp. Any ideas there?
Oh, absolutely. First of all, a little bit of gentle movement is going to help. Bigger here, and I would need probably an entire podcast alone with you. The breath, again, the absolute connection to your breath. So slowing it down. I'm going to give you one technique that's really easy. And if you can, Marie, right now, I'd love for you to try it so you can feel the effect. So make sure that you're feeling comfortable.
Okay.
And I'm going to suggest that your shoulders are trying to, and I know this is hard when you go into a cramp, but maybe if we practice this more often, the cramps will happen less often because there'll be less fatigue because there's more oxygen. So I'd like you to sit with your shoulders relaxed and let your spine be as long and generous in all of its curves as it can be. So in other words, your sits bones are going into the chair or the surface you're on, and your head and crown is lifting up to the sky. I'd like you to breathe in, feeling that your belly expands from how much you've filled your lungs. And as you breathe back out, I'd like you to feel that you're almost making your waist feel like a little drawstring or cinching a little bit of the waist coming in. And every time you inhale, open up and expand to that very big, beautiful fullness. And every time you exhale, draw everything of your perimeter back to the very center of your spine and your core. And then next, as you inhale, I want you to count 1, 2, 3, 4. Exhale, come to center. 2, 3, 4, 5. Inhale, 2, 3, 4, 5. Exhale, 2, 3, 4, 5. Inhale, 2, 3, 4, 5. Exhale, 2, 3, 4, 5. Take a little pause and take back a normal inhalation and give me a nice little ah.
Well, now that we have to, sorry, I have to wake up the producer Phil, who's fallen asleep. Yeah, that's our producer Phil laughing there. And I want to thank you for that. I want to give everybody who's listening a tip also that I use to prevent leg cramps. And this is a yoga move, and I'm sure you know of it. Is to take a golf ball and put it under the ball of your foot and
I'm
rotate.
I'm going to suggest a tennis ball, even gentler on the strong fascia of your feet.
Okay, tennis ball. Okay,
yeah. Or a soft squash ball, something like that, something softer, even a rolled up sock.
Yeah.
But roll your feet, and if you don't have that, take the edge of a book. That'll work too.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. And I want to thank you so much for being our guest. I want to thank all our listeners for tuning in. If you have any questions that you would like to ask Anne, she can be found at Bliss Yoga in Barrie, and of course she does have a YouTube channel. Thanks, Anne. Take care.
Thank you so much, Marie. Have
Cheers.
a great day.
Right. Bye.
Bye.